I'm Maggie. I'm a licensed clinical psychotherapist with degrees in psychology, theology, and marriage and family therapy, a national certification in dialectical behavioral therapy, and a national certification in integrative mental health. In this video, I'm not looking to diagnose anyone. I'm only willing to offer insight into situations like these. Something feels off. Institutions are losing the public's trust super fast. AI can fake your voice and your face. Government lies are at an all-time high. We literally cannot believe anything. Corporations manipulate, and we're becoming acutely aware just how much and for how long. Billionaires are part of some predator class. Religion is splintering. Conspiracy theories have just about all come true, except one, Project Bluebeam. So the theory is that Project Bluebeam is a plan to simulate divine or extraterrestrial events in the sky, or both together. Now remember, extraterrestrial just means off Earth. Angels are extraterrestrials, okay? And it's to unite the world under a single controlled belief system. It's the final impetus to the new world order under one world government. Remember when that was a conspiracy theory, but now it's a little bit more mainstream, right? So today we're going to talk about why Bluebeam talk persists, what psychological conditions make it plausible, and if somebody wanted to manipulate mass religious perception, how would they do it? So we're going to talk about fear, faith, and mass psychology. But first, let me welcome some people in the chat. Auntie is here. She says hi with the peace sign. Hi, Auntie. Armando is here. Peace to you as well. Hi, Vincent. Thanks for being here. And Auntie says nothing surprises me anymore. I understand that. All right. This is the Best Live Tribe on YouTube. So if you are watching from the clouds, please feel free to say hello. You will be welcomed as long as you're appropriate. We can argue though. Adrian is here. He says, I'm here. Let's go. And also shout out to the replay gang. All right. So Project Bluebeam is most commonly attributed to Sergei Monast. Interesting looking guy. He's a Canadian journalist, from the 1990s. Hey, Kevin, thanks for being here. He alleged that global elites planned to, several things, stage a false event in the sky, use holographic technology, simulate religious figures returning, create chaos, then introduce a unified global religion, right, to control the world, right? So the claims included fake alien invasions, artificial second coming projections, engineered earthquakes to discover new religious texts, and satellite-based psychological manipulation. So if that sounds fantastical, let's look at this video. Let me take this down real quick. Can only have one up at a time, which is terrible. All right. Let's watch.
This year's show is our most spectacular yet, featuring over 1,500 dancers.
30 seconds to take off. We're dancing. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, take off.
And if that wasn't enough, we're attempting not just one, but 2 Guinness World Record titles for the show. Prepare for an unforgettable evening as we present our version of the classic Christmas tale, The Nutcracker. Relax and enjoy the show.
On a serene and starlit Christmas Eve, a grand window framed in frost and snowflakes reveals a scene of warmth and joy. Inside, a majestic Christmas tree stands tall, its branches adorned with twinkling lights, shimmering tinsel, and ornaments that tell tales of yesteryears. Underneath the tree, a sea of presents, lovingly wrapped in paper of reds, silvers, and golds, beckons with secrets yet to be unveiled. This festive beacon invites guests inside to the heartwarming embrace of Christmas festivities. Below the decorated tree, a young Clara eagerly anticipates the night's enchantment. Her beloved godfather, a toy maker known for his wondrous creations, gives Clara a nutcracker. This gallant figure, with its stern yet kind face, immediately captures Clara's heart with every toy playing its part. The toy horses neighed and pranced. Even the tiny ballerina atop the music box swung freely. Her beloved nutcracker, now larger and more regal than ever, took command of the toy soldiers, because
to get me back up here. Okay, so you guys see what I'm showing you. And this is just some group with drones who wanted to break a Guinness World Record. That video is pretty cool, though, by the way. You should go and watch it. Let me take this off of here. Yeah, so they can do that with the kind of drones that you can just buy publicly, right? So what is it that you think that the government might have? You know what I mean? Like the government's going to have something way cooler than that and way more able to project thing. Okay. Now, as far as Project Bluebeam, there's no like verifiable evidence of such a specific program that Monast came up with. But people believe it could happen. And that belief tells us something. Hell, I believe it could happen. But we'll get into that in a minute. Excuse me. To understand why this resonates with so many of us, we have to bring in the psychological aspects. And I'm sorry, guys, I'm just getting over a head cold, so I may have to drink a lot and cough a lot. But I guess what I'm saying is, like, why do intelligent people entertain conspiracy theories at all? I entertain them. Well, it's because we live in a time of documented government propaganda, intelligence agency psychological operations, which we've talked about on this channel many times, corporate data manipulation, algorithmic reality shaping, deepfake technology. I mean, we've seen this time and time again. Like, look at this totally real photo of me winning the gold medal for gymnastics. It's like totally real. So we know that perception can be engineered, and we don't see in ourselves how easy we are to manipulate. Every single person thinks, oh, you can't get one over on me. You can't manipulate me. And psychology says something very, very different. Kevin says the only real evidence is what Werner von Braun's secretary quoted. I don't know what that quote is. So it's not really a leap to ask, if they can do all of this sci-fi stuff, then what can they fake? That picture, that photo was made with ChatGPT. I just gave ChatGPT a picture of me and said, show me winning the medal for gymnastics at the Olympics. And that's what it gave me. Interesting, huh? So add to questioning what they can fake, religious trauma is rampant. There's so many people leaving the Christian church. Apocalyptic culture is going rogue. I mean, our government is talking about that this war that's not a war with Iran is to bring about the Armageddon. They're saying that to top military brass. Institutional betrayal is just part of the daily news cycle now. And collective anxiety about our government, our lives, our future here in the West. So there you have this fertile soil to contemplate all the possibilities of what's next. And all we're doing is this anxiety response that's called pre-planning. So when we have a lot of stress about something and we're like, what's next? When's the other shoe going to drop? When we pre-plan, right? And that's where you get theories about conspiracies. And unfortunately, most of them have come true. So there are historical precedents which get us to thinking this, right? Mass manipulation is not theoretical. There are way too many examples, starting with the Romans in the years BC. So governments have used propaganda in wartime, staged media narratives, run psychological operations on people, psyops, right? Exploited religious symbolism. All of these, the governments have done these things. So why would we think they wouldn't do this? Religious imagery has historically mobilized wars, revolutions, and obedience. Religion is the OG psyops that still works to this day. How many people are you seeing that are like, this war is going to bring back Jesus? And all the pastors and me are saying, can you point to the biblical scripture that says killing a bunch of people will speed up the second coming? So easily manipulated. Human beings are neurologically wired to respond to authority, fear, social proof, which we like, and existential threat, right? Kevin says, this was foretold in the book of Revelation that in the end times there would be a mass deception. Oh, for sure. For sure. It is the time of the deceiver in the book of Revelation, right? That's when I say we live in the upside down. That's the time of the deceiver. Hi, Leon. Thanks for being here. So the powers that be see how easily belief systems can be activated under stress. They've been doing it for, thousands of years. It's very easy. It's too easy. And just look at Israel and all the propaganda and all the people who believe it. So we have to ask, as far as Project Bluebeam, is there any type of proof? Is there any type of corroboration? Anything? Even though Monast originated the modern form of Project Bluebeam, several other individuals or sources are frequently connected to it. So the first one is William Guy Carr. He's a naval officer turned conspiracy author from the 1950s and 1960s. He wrote extensively about secret global elites and the coming world governments. Isn't it interesting that the global elites, the secret cabal of predators, all those conspiracies came through and they were all attached to this new world order, one world government. And they keep saying, oh, but that part's not real. Yes, all this other stuff came true, but that part's not real. So Monast drew heavily from Carr's New World Order framework. Many Bluebeam themes, like religious deception, elite coordination, already existed inside of Carr's work. And then Milton William Cooper, which I've talked about on this channel, Bill Cooper. You see the picture of the book there, Behold a Pale Horse, right? Which he wrote in 1991. So he popularized ideas about staged alien threats used for global control. And he showed the proof of the stuff that the CIA was doing. Bill Cooper literally tells a story about seeing a UFO up close in Vietnam. And so he became a huge proponent of that UFOs were real. He later decided, after years and years of heavy research, which he was a top government guy, he finally figured out that it was a government control experiment. It was a government experiment, these UFOs. So later, yes, Kevin, Ronald Reagan said it, but so did, I'm going to list them off, but the Bushes, Obama, Clinton, they've all referenced the New World Order. So later Bluebeam discussions merged Cooper's UFO government distrust with Monast's religious hologram narrative. And then we have Tex Mars. Isn't that a fun name? It's a super fun name, right? He is an evangelical conspiracy radio host. What a combo. He helped spread Bluebeam within Christian end times circles in the late 90s and 2000s. He reframed it as an antichrist deception scenario, not necessarily a New World Order government scenario, although that it could be the same thing. So I'm not going quite that far, but with everything that's happened and is happening, my bingo card is wide open for what could happen now. Interestingly, researchers have noted similarities between Bluebeam and ideas from Gene Roddenberry, which is why we have a picture of Star Trek up there, right? So Roddenberry proposed a 1970s Star Trek film story involving a fake, godlike space event manipulating humanity. Those elements appeared later in Star Trek: The Next Generation. It's called Devil's Due. Is this the truth in media stuff they're talking about? I don't know. So some major spreaders of the Bluebeam conspiracy theory is Alex Jones and his ilk, okay? UFO communities especially after drone and UAP scares, and then online conspiracy forums, especially post 2010 and 2011. These communities rightly merged Bluebeam with newer fears like AI, satellites, and PSYOPs. So to be clear, there is no CIA document saying Project Bluebeam. Like I've shown you CIA documents before, right? Kevin says this seems to go back as far as the Roswell incident and the creation of MJ-12 or Majestic 12, the old and original conspiracies, for sure. And a lot of those people that were involved with MJ-12, with the Majestic 12, have recently testified to Congress, to an oversight committee. So there's not a specific document that says, quote, Project Bluebeam, end quote. However, several real programs are repeatedly cited because they involve deception, psychology, and UFO research. Okay. So I guess to be clear, what I'm saying is we don't know. We think that the government's going to do it. We don't know exactly what they're going to call it. It's referenced as Project Bluebeam. Okay. So we're going to hit on the main ones that really add to this theory. Okay. So we have the Lansdale Second Coming proposal from 1960s Cuba planning. That is a huge one. A frequently cited declassified report describes discussions had in the government about PSYOPs against Cuba. So the U.S. planners considered spreading rumors that Fidel Castro was the Antichrist. So that's what that's what they wanted to start with. We're going to spread these rumors. Fidel Castro is the Antichrist. And then one idea that they had allegedly involved projecting religious imagery and using sound effects to influence belief, which is literally the basis of Project Bluebeam, right? Just on a much larger scale, which since the 1960s, couldn't we have like expanded the idea? So this stuff appears in a CIA related congressional record on assassination plots and covert operations. They literally talk about doing this. Bluebeam believers cite it because if the CIA once considered fake religious events, it could be scaled globally if they wanted to. Okay. Then we have a real CIA memo that stated UFO reports could have implications for psychological warfare, public panic, intelligence manipulation. So here's the memo saying, hey, we can use all this stuff, guys. The agency worried that adversaries might exploit UFO hysteria. And you know what the United States does every time we worry about adversaries having something that we don't. This is happening with AI in real time. If we think they're going to have something that we don't, we make damn sure we have it and at the highest scale possible. Okay. This is in the memo that they were worried about this. Conspiracy communities interpret this as proof governments considered using UFO narratives strategically, which they did. And you know, if they thought Russia or China would do it, they would figure out how to do it. Okay. Because remember all those drones that were flying over New York and some other states on the East Coast? And the government told us that it was some sophisticated Chinese weather balloon or some nonsense like that. Some thought that it was our government practicing for a later show. So here, let me show you. I'm going to take this down. We're going to pull this up. Okay. Let me get this started here.
And I had a different source entirely describe this pretty extraordinary footage that exists of orbs, of an orb coming out of the ocean and being met by another orb.
When it comes to remote work, every second counts.
They have to show
You're checking your email during homework.
But you guys could see the orbs, and they were caught on cameras, not just people's cell phones, right? Those were weather cameras, like news stations had them out. So there were people catching sight of all these orbs, which were just lights in the sky flying around. You saw that. That was not a weather balloon. This is also happening at the same time as the northern lights becoming the all over the United States lights for, you know, the first time ever. So all that's happening at the same time, right? So then we go into Project MK Ultra. This went on from the 50s through the 70s. Kevin says the government learned about mass mind manipulation. It thought the War of the World. Oh yeah, the War of the Worlds radio program. Yeah, everybody was panicking. Everybody believed it. Armando said, I could totally see all this computer power in the data centers worldwide used for blue beam purposes. Fake images, fake videos, fake anything. Yeah, take that into consideration. I had not thought of that, Armando. But they're setting up all of these data centers that are just using massive amounts of power. So let's talk about Project MK Ultra. Declassified CIA behavioral modification experiments. That was MK Ultra. It involved hypnosis, drugs, and psychological manipulation. Document archives like the Black Vault host thousands of released files from the CIA. Now, it's linked to Bluebeam because it shows the CIA actually researched mind influence for like 25 years. And it's not too huge to extrapolate from psychological control to mass belief control. It's not too much of a leap, okay? Then UFO investigation programs. Remember when people believed in UFOs and whatnot, you know, they're crazy. You believe in little green men, but those conspiracy theories became true, right? You know, so Project Sign from 1948. This is how long it goes. So after the 1947 flying saucer wave, sorry, it was a long day, and the Kenneth Arnold sighting, the newly formed United States Air Force became concerned that unknown aerial objects might represent Soviet technology, misidentified aircraft, or something genuinely unexplained. Project Sign, again from 1948, was the first official U.S. military UFO investigation. 1948. And how long have they been telling people that they're nuts? The investigators were tasked with collecting the sightings, evaluating radar and pilot reports, and determining national security risk. So, according to later testimony, some sign analysts concluded that certain sightings could not be explained by known technology. Still to this day. That's what they said to the Oversight Committee, right? They allegedly produced a report suggesting interplanetary origins. So they reference the report. We can't get the report. It's not available to the public. So the Air Force leadership reportedly rejected the report, okay, and destroyed the assessment because, you know, they didn't want that to be true and they didn't want it to get out. So we're never going to see the report. Project Sign briefly represented a serious analytical approach to studying UFOs. Investigators were relatively open to extraordinary explanations, but it was the start of lying like crazy to the public. Then we have, hi Gregory Scotland, thanks for being here. Then we have Project Grudge. So Grudge, that went on from 1949 to 1951. So after Project Sign, leadership became concerned about public panic, media sensationalism, intelligence distraction during early Cold War tensions. Project Grudge replaced Sign with a much more skeptical mandate. Rather than asking, what are UFOs? The working assumption became UFO reports results from misidentification, hoaxes, or psychological factors, meaning you're nuts, right? Period. That's the basis. They said that's the basis for all investigations. It's one of those things: misidentification, hoaxes, or psychological factor. So these investigators weren't given other options. So Grudge investigators frequently attributed sightings to weather balloons, astronomical objects, aircraft, optical illusions, mass suggestion. Even some Air Force personnel later said that investigations were sometimes superficial. They weren't going to dig too deep because they're going to find something that's not one of those three options. And then the program appeared aimed at debunking rather than evaluating and discovering what things were. So this period helped create long-lasting public distrust. Swamp gas, Kevin says. He says, I would say Aleister Crowley was the first person to mention little gray beings. That could be true. Because it used to be little green men, you know. Then we have Project Blue Book. Not Blue Beam, Project Blue Book. This is 1952 to 1969. This was a long time, 17 years. This became the most famous and longest running program. A massive USO sighting wave in 1952, including radar incidents over Washington, D.C., which they were shit scared of. Those CIA documents are fun to read because it scared the crap out of them. But it forced renewed investigations, right? So Blue Book had two official missions: determine if UFOs threatened national security and scientifically analyze UFO data. So over its lifetime, that 17-year period, 12,618 cases were investigated. A majority of those they explained away, but around 700 cases remained officially unidentified. Astronomer J. Allen Hynek He served as a scientific consultant. Okay. He's an astronomer. He was initially very skeptical of all of it. He thought all of it was, kind of like the other one said. He later became convinced some cases deserved deeper study. Eventually, he coined the term close encounter, right, and made the classification system. Close encounter of the first kind, second kind, third kind, right? Okay. Then we have the Condon Report, which is 1968. So the Condon Report, the Air Force commissioned the University of Colorado to review UFO evidence. Okay. Their conclusion, 1968, UFO study is unlikely to yield any scientific breakthroughs, and they recommended ending the program. From the University of Colorado. They said nothing's going to come of it. End the program. So Blue Book ended in 1969 with the Air Force stating no UFO posed a national security threat, and there was no evidence of extraterrestrial technology found. 700 cases remain officially unidentified. So the U.S. government has not disclosed aliens or extraterrestrial technology, but it has publicly acknowledged that unknown aerial objects are real. They are tracked and they are taken seriously. That alone represents a major historical shift from the Project Blue Book era. So that's what disclosure actually means. Like in the modern context, they disclosed that these aerial phenomena, these unidentified objects, are real. Kevin says Blue Book was the propaganda arm of Majestic. Oh, that's probably true. The key change here is terminology and framing. So we went from UFO to UAP, unidentified anomalous phenomena. So the focus moved from curiosity to national security and airspace safety. So the government's position today, some objects are real and unexplained, but not proven extraterrestrial. But then we have the leak. And we showed the New York orbs. We have the leak. So in 2017, leaked Navy videos, there were several of them. There was FLIR, Gimbal, and Go Fast. Those were the names of the videos. Showed pilots tracking objects displaying unusual flight behavior. They showed a lot of these videos in that Congressional Oversight Committee. So for the first time, the Pentagon confirmed the videos were authentic. And military pilots publicly testified about encounters. So that broke a decades-long stigma dating back to Project Grudge and Blue Book. So then we have creation of the Pentagon's UAP office. Okay. The Department of Defense, is it called the Department of War? I don't know. The Department of Defense created the All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, AARO, ARROW, All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office. Okay. Its mission, collect military sightings, analyze sensor data, determine threats to U.S. forces. ARROW reviews cases across air, space, sea, and cyber sensor domains. Now, sea is important because Bill Cooper's sighting, he saw the unidentified object come up out of the water. And then so many times on these videos, we will see that those ships go into the water of the ocean without making any impact and without slowing down. They can go in and out of the water with no change to their speed and trajectory, which is really, really interesting. So sea is important there too. So what the government has officially admitted here is that recent reports reviewed decades of classified records going back to 1945. Their conclusions. Objects exist that pilots cannot immediately identify. Some demonstrate unusual flight characteristics. Many incidents involved military training ranges, and hundreds of cases remain unresolved due to limited data. Leon says, these investigations cost American citizens money. I know. We can put it off, honestly, for a while. There's a lot of stuff we need to quit spending money on, like other countries. All right, so our country will not verify extraterrestrial technology. They will not confirm crafts are alien to the planet. Oh, excuse me, still sick. They will not admit to evidence of recovered non-human material. So they will not admit to the biologics that were testified about to Congress. They were testified, the biologics, okay? Now, those congressional hearings, 2022 through 2025, was the biggest difference from the Cold War era, right? Because now we're actually talking about it seriously. Congress now holds public hearings about UAP transparency. So what the lawmakers focus on is airspace safety risks, foreign adversary technology from China and Russia, government secrecy concerns, because man, when those saucers were over the White House way back when, freaked them out. And then protecting whistleblowers. So that's what Congress is focused on, is also protecting whistleblowers. So a 2025 congressional transparency hearing explicitly framed UAP secrecy as a public trust issue and pushed for more declassification. Now, remember, right before, so after we were being mean to Venezuela and right before we started being mean to Iran, but during the time that they're not releasing unredacted Epstein files, Trump said to release all of the UFO files. I don't know if they did. I mean, he literally told the CIA and the military to dump it all. Kind of tells us everything, right? The stuff in the Epstein files must be super bad. Or they're just setting the stage for Project Bluebeam to happen, right? Okay, so let's talk about if anyone wanted to do this, how could they do it? So we're going to treat it like a thought experiment, okay? But if you want to pretend like we're planning for it just in case, I don't blame you, because I sure do. I like the just in case. Kevin says you should really mention the diary of Admiral Byrd, yes, and his encounters with UFOs that he had, yes. And you know what, I should have included it. But I mean, we're talking about Bluebeam today. But that may be something that we go into, especially on Wednesdays when we review books. Wouldn't it be cool to review the Diary of Admiral Byrd? That would be super cool. Armando says, I'm sure if there is some good alien weapons tech, I'm sure the Sharpie would come out in those dumped files. Yeah. Yeah. Or the highlight black. Every time I hit that mic, it mutes. I'm so sorry. Anyway, how they highlighted it in black and then people could take the highlight off. Not smart. Okay, so let's pretend somebody wanted to manipulate mass perception through religious frameworks. They probably wouldn't start with lasers in the sky, okay? they would start with, now when I talk about they would start with, think about if we're already experiencing it or not. So we kind of know how far we are into this pretend scenario that totally doesn't exist. So the first thing would be narrative conditioning. So we're talking about saviors here, right? Because we're supposed to be pretending the second coming with UFOs and whatnot, all in the sky. That's what Blue Beam is, okay? So we have to condition the narrative because different cultures expect different saviors. Christianity anticipates the visible return of Christ. And which Christ? I don't know. Is it Kenny Loggins' white Jesus? Is it the actual dude who had the hair of a lamb and feet of brass? Which one? I don't know. Islam anticipates the Mahdi and Isa. Hindu traditions anticipate avatar manifestations. The New Age communities anticipate extraterrestrial ascension type events. And the Jews are looking for Mashiach. But that Messiah is supposed to be a human king, which they've named Trump King Cyrus. They've given him a crown and named him the Prince of Peace. So I think they have, identified their Mashiach. So each group already has this like symbolic template. So all you have to do is trigger expectation of that coming savior, right? Armando says, this administration needs to hire a redaction consultant from the 50s and 60s. They need to hire like qualified people. So you're going to condition the narrative. That's number one. Technology amplification. So modern influence would use deepfake media, AI-generated religious voices, coordinated social media surges, bots amplifying testimonies of seeing these things in the sky, and these viral emotional storytelling moments. I agree, Vincent. So the psychological mechanism is that mass belief can be catalyzed through fear conditioning, authority bias, emotional overwhelm, cognitive overload, existential panic. Think about when the Northern Lights kept coming south. Okay, I never got to see them. I didn't see them. However, I saw it on the news. There was video on the news. I saw massive amounts of videos from people on Facebook, on YouTube, on Instagram, like at TikTok, video after video after video. So do I believe that the Northern Lights came south and they could be seen from these places? Yeah, I totally do. That's what this is talking about. That's a psychological mechanism. Okay, so then when we add fear and authority bias and being emotionally overwhelmed and existential panic because all these people saw messiahs coming down from outer space, that's some stress right there. And under stress, the brain narrows. And we definitely are seeing this now. No one has an open mind. No one takes accountability. Everyone is dug in to their position up to their knees. And the certainty that they have becomes intoxicating to others. And that's the cue that it's time for the Blue Beam Show. So then we get into the visual sky projection. Okay. Cosmic Surfer TV. He says, oh, the second coming, the Messiah will appear in the sky. Can't wait. Which one? Right? It's always which one, right? Which is why I have this picture up here of all of them, because this is what Project Bluebeam says will happen. That in different places in the globe, that a different Messiah will appear, and that Messiah will speak to us in the language of the area. And then all of those Messiahs are going to merge into one Messiah who is going to tell us what is our human religion, what is our global belief system. That's what Project Bluebeam is based on. So now we get into the sky projection. So the theory claims giant holograms projected globally into the sky. So true free air holograms visible miles away do not currently exist that we know of, because light needs particles or surfaces to scatter from. However, there is a realistic workaround. And I showed you the drones, right? What the drones could do. Does it look that much different from this AI picture that I'm showing you? It looks different, but is it that much different? So drone swarms carrying synchronized lights and projecting lights, high altitude projection onto atmospheric haze or cloud layers, satellite timed light events. See, this could come from satellites, not from the ground, and augmented reality overlays through our phones. Remember when they did the, there was some weird like emergency broadcast test and they changed the tone. Something about that told me I didn't need to listen to that. And I didn't. People can think I'm weird, but I was like, I don't want to listen to that, because they were testing our phones for something. So something could be coming through our phones. In other words, it's not like a one projection into the sky, but a bunch of coordinated visual cues. Armando said, oh, well, where do you think all Spanish would be spoken, Armando? Because, you know, Spain has been such a colonizer. And which form of Spanish, you know what I mean? So maybe it's Spanish, you know, maybe it's Mexican Jesus will come. So the microwave auditory effect, the Fry effect. So here's another thing. Researchers discovered in the 1960s that certain pulsed microwave signals can create clicking or buzzing sensations inside your head. Now, there's a lot of reports that in Venezuela, when we went and kidnapped that dude and his wife, that there were sound weapons used and it was creating like nosebleeds and stuff. So it can create clicking and buzzing sensations inside somebody's head. So it doesn't produce speech that we know of. It requires proximity. It's inefficient and impractical at a distance, and it can't broadcast messages, but it could be used to cause disorientation before or during this light show. If we're a bit disoriented, we won't notice the little tiny detailed mistakes, right? Yes, Adrian, Mexi Jesus. I mean, Jesus. I'm still trying to figure out exactly. Por español marque dos. Oh, for Spanish, hit number 2 on Russia. Now it's even funnier. Now it's even funnier. For English, press 1. For Spanish, press 2. So you're going to have to use your phones to hear your Messiah. For Russian, press 3. Now it's even funnier. Thank you, Armando. It just took me a moment to, I'm working on another language right now. And so I've put Spanish up on the shelf and, you know, you either use it or lose it. So it takes me a minute. Sorry about that. Oh, that's funny. So if someone wanted to, if somebody wanted people to believe that they heard a voice internally, psychology would be very effective, more effective than physics, actually. So if we're putting these things in the sky and we're creating these buzzing noises and we're doing all this stuff, we're going to have sleep disruption and stress. So that's number 1. We can start hallucinating just from that. We're going to get suggestions through the media, which we already are, about the apocalypse and Armageddon, and it's already coming, and either Trump is the Messiah or he's the Antichrist or blah, blah, blah. or Jared Kushner. So, or they're going to, many people are reporting hearing this voice, seeing this thing, da da da. Infrasound could create anxiety and dread sensations. They use that. That's been used by the government. And then directional audio through parametric speakers in some localized areas. They're putting up all the new street lights too. Think about that. And then our personal devices delivering synchronized alerts, synchronized tones, synchronized words. Humans naturally interpret ambiguous sensations through their expectation. So when they add it all together, it might just be the second coming of Kenny Loggins. I mean, Jesus. Think about, so if you guys know hip hop, okay, how they sample sounds, and you can sample certain sounds to make it sound like a word, or you can create a sentence from samples where they didn't even say that. So keep that in mind when I'm talking about these different tones, the sounds. And if you're looking up in the sky and you see, Buddha, and then you're hearing Buddha as you're watching Buddha's mouth move, we may not necessarily immediately be like, is that coming from a phone? Especially if everyone's phones are doing it and they're broadcasting it through speakers, right? Leon says that weapon they use can make people throw up and a few other things. My mom was talking about the weapon. Yeah, like it totally took those folks out. So psychological preparation, like we've been talking about, is the most important tool of this hypothetical situation. Historically, belief formation follows a pattern. Introduce some unexplained events. The authorities acknowledge the uncertainty. Media repeats it and normalizes the discussion. And then social proof spreads with the new interpretation. So, examples from history. War of the Worlds radio panic. We talked about that. Cold War UFO waves. Mass sightings influenced by news coverage. All of those things. A fictional operation would rely heavily on social media amplification, the bots, influencers, trusted figures, conflicting expert explanations of what's happening, because our brains fill gaps with meaning. We label things, we have to fill the gaps. It's what we do, it's how a brain works. Think about, can you name something that we have not labeled? I'll give you guys time. You have till the end of the show to tell me something that we have not labeled. Okay. Mind projection in and of itself isn't necessarily necessary from behavioral science perspective. Okay. People don't need voices implanted into their brains to experience a shared meaning. Humans already experience auditory misperceptions under stress, hypnagogic voices, between sleep and waking, you're hearing things. Think about, we've all had this happen where you're home alone and you hear your mom or somebody say your name. That's just from very minor stress. And then we have this thing called group expectation effects. So if millions expect something profound, many will report internal experiences naturally because they will have them. Kevin says, what if our pineal glands start working at the same time and the government tries to take credit for it? We do have telepathic abilities. I agree with that. Wouldn't that be hilarious that if our pineal glands came online right at that moment and we had full discernment and we could totally tell how bogus and fake the whole thing was? And they'd be like, see, we turned it on for you and then showed you a fake thing. Like when you take classes at work about phishing emails, and then we send you phishing emails to catch you. I can totally see it, Kevin. Totally see it. So there is a real world irony, though. If someone truly wanted a blue beam like outcome, the most effective tools would already exist. Global live stream platforms, AI generated imagery, coordinated messaging, and immersive media ecosystems. Imagine doing all of that and you still did these projections in the sky. No exotic physics is necessarily required for blue beam. But man, if they did it, it would sure bring it home if they did all that stuff together. And if I know about it, and I'm telling you about it, and lots of other people know about it, imagine what we don't know that they're doing. So whether blue beam exists or not, we have to start accepting that our real vulnerability is psychological. As a people, we are constantly being manipulated while we're busy blaming each other for our circumstances that were caused by the predator class. So protect yourself. Get ready. I heard 2 different videos today, and not on my weird videos, talking about prepare for electricity outings. Interesting. So stock up some food, a month's worth of food, get you a bunch of water bottles, get some candles. If you live where it's cold, make you some of those Crisco heaters with candles. If you don't know what that is, look it up. Super easy. Get ready. But we are constantly being manipulated while we blame each other. So to protect ourselves, regulate your nervous system before you react. If you see something like this, there's always that sense of urgency. You always know it's a scam when there's a sense of urgency. So regulate your nervous system before you react to anything. Avoid emotional contagion online. People online will get us worked up quicker than anything else. Cosmic Surfer says the deception will be televised in the sky. Kevin said, is it really going to work if we're discussing it? Has the government ever proven themselves that capable? With some things, not with others. I don't know about this administration, but the people who work for the government are pretty freaking smart. So verify any information that you get across independent sources. Again, question the urgency. I'm going to say it 3 times. Question urgency. That's how you know it's a scam. And then another big one. Who benefits from fear? If we're going to put on all this stuff, we're going to cause this mass hysteria, all this fear. Oh my God, what is happening? Even if it's just the aliens, who will benefit from all of us being scared, especially scared to go outside? That could tell you what's real and what's not. Hi, Lee Rowan. Thank you for being here. You are very welcome. Again, thank you for being here. So the most powerful defense against mass manipulation is calm and calculated thoughts and behaviors. You may be susceptible. We are all susceptible to urgency. And you may be wanting to give in to that urgency and the mass hysteria and emotional manipulation that's going on. You have to remain calm and calculated in your thoughts and your behavior. Remember, if the real Messiah was coming down, he would not be yelling at you, act now for $49.99. You're going to miss out. There's only 2 left in stock. The Messiah is not going to force this urgency upon you, no matter who you think your Messiah is or is not, or what you believe about God or gods or pantheons or anything. No good deity is going to rush you into anything like that. Keep it in mind. Calm minds are harder to control. Kevin says, fools rush in where angels fear to tread. Yeah. So imagine it. Let's imagine it. You've got the picture on the screen, right? Global trust collapses. Already happened. Religious institutions fracture. Already happened. AI blurs reality. Already happened. Governments start centralizing their power as to who is allies and who is not. Happening. Now, imagine a perfectly timed global event in the sky. Some event. It doesn't have to look like what's on the screen. Some global event in the sky. Some sign. It doesn't even have to be real, right? It just has to be coordinated across the media. You wake up in the morning and every platform is reporting on it. Religious leaders are confirming it. Influencers are validating it. Governments are responding to it. You didn't see it, but it's been verified through all of these channels. Your brain doesn't assess whether it's true or not. You can't. You didn't see it for yourself, but there's this consensus. There's social proof. Now, layer in historical secrecy in intelligence operations, known psychological warfare research, military experimentation with perception and influence, religious expectation priming across the centuries, and daily misery, illness, stress, and the need, the yearning, and the want for somebody to come and help us. Yeah, we are primed for this one. We are primed for it. The Rowan says, that sense of urgency plus the ever-present fear is how all cults hook you in, political or religious. My Jehovah's Witness family is eating this dish up right now. Hi, Afro Merchant. I haven't seen you in forever. Thank you for being here. And thank you for the flower. So, Project Bluebeam may or may not be about to happen, even though we are so primed for it right now. It could all be a myth. I don't know. But what I do know is that human perception is fragile. Belief is powerful, and fear spreads fast. Fear is contagious. And in an age where technology can simulate literally almost anything, we're just waiting for the other shoe to drop. Something's going to happen here with technology, because no matter what, I think we all know something is about to happen. We feel it. Something's about to happen. What it is, I don't know that any of us have any clue, because the world is so upside down right now. But we feel it. Something's coming. Something's about to happen. And it's huge. All right. I want to thank you guys for being here with me. This is a fun one. I enjoy conspiracies. You know that. So this Wednesday, we're going to continue with, let me get that off the screen, even though that is a fun picture. So this Wednesday, we're going to continue with Muammar al-Gaddafi's Green Book. Yay. Kevin says it feels like a test. It absolutely does. Then this coming Sunday, so a week from today, I am super excited about this one. And it's how wealth breeds predation. How wealth makes predators. That one's going to be exciting for me. I think it's super duper interesting, and I like it a lot. All right. Thank you guys for being here. And I'm going to show you a picture of my dog. Please like the video if you haven't already. It really helps the algorithm to know what kind of things you like. Share where you think it's appropriate, especially to someone who you think needs to hear it. And last, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. especially if you want to break down complex concepts that make the esoteric not soteric, helping you on your journey to become your most authentic self. Let's uncover the universe together.